Welcome back to the Dichotomy Diaries. I'm your host, Amanda Arnier, and believe it or not, this is episode 11. You guys are not going to believe me when I tell you this, but today is the first time that I've gotten my nails done since my wedding in June 2022. It's been a slow start getting back into self-care. Over the course of the last few months, I felt like I wanted to go do something nice for myself, but I would talk myself out of it because I'm so used to going without in terms of needs versus wants. Today, I finally felt like I deserved it, like I needed to do something nice for myself. It's sad to say that honestly, I would always talk myself out of it. Truthfully, I don't even know why, but the realization that the manipulation lingers is scary. You know the idea of an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other? Well, when you've been abused and manipulated by a person for so long, the devil actually becomes that person. And it takes a lot of intentional effort to remove their voice entirely. But it is possible. So let's go back. Dick and I are coming off the high of Christmas, which was filled with a lot of love, positivity, and hope. We had some good conversations, but now we're going to visit his father, who has crossed this imaginary line in my mind. And to be honest, this is a core memory. This may be the very point in our relationship timeline that it all goes to complete shit. So let's dive in. So, where I left off last time, we were on our way back from his mom's house where we had spent Christmas, and we're driving home, and all of a sudden he veers off the side of the road and he's like, I have to talk to my dad. And I'm like, my stomach dropped, honestly, because one, I don't want to see his dad. His dad has been basically an asshole, and I feel like if I'm around him, I'm not going to say nice things. And so I almost was like, I'll just wait in the car, but he was like, no, I want you to come in with me. I'm letting him know I'm uncomfortable. And he's like, it's going to be okay. He's putting off this very we're a team, united front. So I was like, okay, this feels good because he's never like that. So we pull up to his dad's house, and we're getting out of the Jeep, and his dad opens the door, and he's like, hey guys. And he was really it was like nothing was wrong. So nobody else was home. So his stepmom wasn't there. It was just his dad, which I thought was kind of weird too, because I thought that the whole reason that we couldn't come there initially was because of the stepmom. And I felt like we were kind of interrupting his day, because it was a few days it was probably the 27th. And apparently the whole time we'd been driving home, he had been texting his dad, and I didn't know about it. And his dad was like, okay, come over. Your stepmom isn't here. We can talk. Okay, fine. So we walk in, very surface level conversation. How was Christmas? Okay. Say something oh, it was great. At my mom's house. And he rolls his eyes because he's very passive aggressive about anything with Dick's mom. So let me just set the scene. He's he gestures to the living room, and he's like, you guys here, take a seat on the couch. And he pulls up a chair, directly across from the couch. And I'm like, this is so weird. It's a L-shaped sectional. Why wouldn't you just sit on the couch next to us? But he was he pulled up the chair and he sat down all proper. And he was like, all right, so what, what's up? And Dick is holding my hand. We're sitting next to each other. And he's like, well, I just want to talk about the fact that we couldn't come over. I'm confused about that. So maybe you can explain a little bit. And he's like, oh, Dick, where do I begin? Just being pompous right off the bat. And he's like, well, first off, your stepmom doesn't feel comfortable with you in the house. And I'm like already getting like agitated. I'm like, oh my fucking, like, why, you know? And he's like, okay, why? What did I do that would make her feel not comfortable? And he first said, well, obviously the strangulation felony. But then he said, but that's not it. You've been really aggressive in the past at family functions when you've been over here before. And he's like, what are you talking about? And his dad mentioned like this time when he was at some kind of thing. Maybe it was like for a funeral or a birthday or something. And Dick was there with his ex-wife. And maybe they were playing like cards or a game or something, and he got really fucking agitated and like slammed his fist on the table, freaked out, like left like the room, whatever room they were in, and it was just like kind of shocking. Like, you know how he gets like really abruptly loud? And I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem like, and that, so mind you, it's like when he was with his ex-wife, which is like 9 years prior. What the fuck? Why all of a sudden, yeah, like why all of a sudden are you,
Why are you just now bringing that up when that's something that's completely apparently unbeknownst to him?
yeah, like why wasn't it talked about then? Why is it such a shock to Dick that like,
Has he visited or been around for the holidays prior to meeting you and been around his stepmom, and now all of a sudden she's changing her mind? Does it make you feel like, does this have anything to do with me, or this is another situation where there's a female around? I don't want him to get the same way as he did before with his ex-wife.
those are all good questions because as far as I know, he had brought like one or two girlfriends to his mom's house or fiancés, whatever, to his mom's house for a holiday. I don't know if they ever stopped by the dad's. And I don't know if it was like a correlation, like, oh, him, Dick around like women, like is uncomfortable. Like maybe it was. I'd never thought about that, but
Because maybe that's where his, like, I have to be alpha male and
maybe.
I get really competitive or something like that. And he probably isn't like that when there's not a female around or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe that's what I honestly just, even from day one, meeting them both, the dad and the stepmom, I just felt like they were keeping him at like arm's length, and like it was very not warm, and it was like they really didn't want anything to do with him. They were listening when we would talk and he would talk, but it was kind of like taking everything with a grain of salt kind of vibe. So like he says that, and Dick was like, okay, valid, I understand that, but that was also 9 years ago. I don't even remember it, so I couldn't have been that angry. And so I think that that's just taken a little bit out of context. And so he really had thought about this conversation, and we had talked about it even before getting to his mom's house about what he wanted to say to his dad in regards to feelings, because his dad's very transactional. They talk like they're bros, like they're doing business, and there's never any discussion of like emotions and feelings, which I think is like we talked about is like the thing that was lacking there. And he was like, well, it really makes me feel sad that you wouldn't say I want my son around for Christmas.
You said this direct, like, did you cut him off or was there like a
I
pause?
didn't say it, he said it.
Oh.
And so I was actually like very proud of him in that moment, because again, this is the first time I'm hearing him say anything about feelings to his dad. And his dad was like,
Which in hindsight kind of made you feel like, okay, he feels strong enough. We're a team.
yeah,
he
he's
needs me by his
literally
side to muster up the courage to do
right.
those
Like
things.
I felt like I was like teaching him like better communication skills, and I felt like through my family experiencing that, he was realizing that like maybe things were not as okay as he thought they were with his. So he says that, and Dick was like, okay, like valid, whatever, all this stuff. He's like, well, I would like to apologize to my stepmom, so if I can have that opportunity. He's like, because I want to be able, he's like, Dad, I want to be able to have a relationship with you where I can come and spend the holidays and I don't feel like I'm a complete stranger in this house. And like his dad like cut him off and like clasped his hands and was like, well, let's just like cut to the chase here, guys. And so now he's addressing me too. And I was already like on like alert because I'm getting uncomfortable with just the way he's sitting, let alone.
So did that make you feel like, okay, he was that was already like a lot to take in, and then you're like, wait, there's more. Like,
Yeah,
he
it's
was beating around the bush, and now we're gonna get the gist of what's really going on.
100%. And he is like, I don't know. And he goes, I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing with your life. And so this is a Mormon man, a Mormon, like a very devout Mormon.
Oh, he actually said the F word?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, it's like that. So because the wife's not around and no one else is around.
Did you think like, wow, okay, now it makes sense where Dick gets his hypocrisy kind of?
A little bit, because I really was just kind of like, this is fucking wild that he's talking to me like this. I don't really get what the fuck you guys are doing. You're just gallivanting around the country on a road trip, and like, do you even have a job? He literally like gestures to me and he goes, I thought you graduated from law school. And I was like,
You guys, I wish you could see the gesture that she just made. That was so disrespectful. Like,
I was like, I did. Thank you. I'm like, I have a master's in HR and employment law. What does that? I said, and also, so this is when I actually started talking, because he was like, you're just gallivanting around the country. I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing. How do you make money? All of this stuff. So I like step in and like, I'm squeezing his hand because I told him I wouldn't talk, but now I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, so us gallivanting around the country was actually us being a little bit more like forward thinking in the fact we wanted to move. And instead of just like making a rash, like super spontaneous decision, we wanted to try out places that maybe we wanted to live before we decided to sign a year lease, which I think Dad is like mature thinking. Mm-hmm. And then I said, and also we have a business. I said, I incorporated an S Corp.
And now you feel like you have to explain yourself when you owe him nothing at this point.
And I'm like, we have a consulting firm and we consult online talent, like online, creators. And like, I wasn't going to say OnlyFans or whatever, but online. And I'm like, and we're doing really well, because at that point we were bringing on new clients and making a lot of money. And he really didn't say anything back to that. It was more so like a nod and like a like.
So do you think that like if he was probably thinking in his mind, like, all right, if she's with Dick, then she's got to have the same mentality, and nothing he says sticks, and everything that he says he never sees through.
Yeah, I do think that. And I think that now in hindsight is crazy, because I thought that me as a whole would being with me would validate him more, and that his family would look at him different. But actually, how they view him is so strong that it actually discredited everything I've accomplished.
That makes complete sense, actually.
And I never, ever, ever, ever thought about that. And even to go a little bit deeper into that, right? That's how everybody viewed me, not just him.
I didn't.
No, not that people know me very closely, but like,
right,
acquaintances. They're like, what the fuck?
No, I can completely understand where you would think that, and in hindsight, looking back at it, that would actually make a lot of things fall into place, making sense. Because you're probably sitting there thinking like, why is he questioning my degrees? Why is he questioning if I have a job? But he knows what his son is like.
He knows that he's like a liar, and so maybe I'm lying, right?
Well, either that, or he found who could possibly, if they're really that intelligent, fall for his bullshit or fall for his antics and not see right through it. If you're really that smart, when in turn you didn't at the time know how deep it really went. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I just didn't realize.
You just thought you were helping him to be better, because you have had those moments with him where you knew he didn't, appreciate his past, and he wanted to turn a new leaf, essentially. And you were helping him do that. But everyone else was looking at you like, she must be just as bad.
Yeah, or just stupid. But in this moment, right, we're talking and he sees me getting heated, and now I'm defending us both. And I think that I said something along the lines of like, and I'm like, this offends me or something. And I said, like, we're here because I have a very good relationship with my family, and we talk about feelings. And to me, I don't think that my husband feels that you are father, like you're not like being a dad. And so he kind of like goes into like this, let me tell you a story kind of vibe. And he's like, listen, I was this age when I decided that I was, I was going to move out. And what did I want to do? Like, did I want my parents to check in on me every day? No, I was, 18 and I didn't want to hear from them. He's like, my parents never called me when I moved out of the house and all this stuff. And it's like, because that's how he grew up and what he wanted out of his life, he basically just like copied and pasted it onto Dick and was like, well, that's what I'm going to give him.
Okay, so going back to when you said he clasped his hands and was like, what did he say again? All right, guys, so...
Yeah.
And then he was
just like talking at us, really.
Oh, so he didn't like actually say like that there was a bigger reason besides the strangulation felony and things like that.
It was that, and it was that his stepmom, that whole occurrence with the ex-wife and the freaking out. But I think that it really too was like he also didn't know what we did. He also didn't know if I was a liar. He didn't know how we made money, why we were running, how, like, just all of the things is a big question mark because he doesn't believe anything Dick says. And now I realize I said, like, he didn't believe it. And so that was his explanation.
Did he feel more comfortable once you explained these things? Did he kind of just like...
No, he didn't let his guard... He didn't let his guard down at all. In fact, he like doubled down when we started talking about feelings. And he was like, well, I don't know what you want. He basically was like, I don't know what you want from me. You're going to be 30 years old. I'm not going to, like... He essentially said, like, I'm not going to father you. Like, because Dick at some point said, can't you just call me and be like, hey, how's your week going? How's your day?
Yeah, just, like, check in and be like, you're my son. But you had mentioned that he said, I think it was in the last episode, you had mentioned that he said... Listen, if I saw you on the street, we would not be friends.
Right.
But that's really sick to go back and like discover how his dad sees his relationship with being a father and a son. He thinks like it's at a friendship level. No, it's a nurturing level and you need to check in.
But it wasn't even at a friendship level because he said we wouldn't be friends. And so
right,
that's
like
what
I'm saying.
Crazy
why would
part.
you even say be friends? Of course you're not friends with your son. You don't have to be friends with your son. Obviously when you get older you establish that kind of relationship with your parent. But parenting comes first. You're always going to be my parent.
Honestly, like, I feel like he's like an alien. Like, he just doesn't understand the human.
Sounds like he didn't have a lot of love or affection growing up, and that wasn't instilled in him.
I think he has a lot of siblings, but...
No, I'm saying his dad.
Yeah, I'm not sure about.
So then in turn, he didn't know how to be a father figure to Dick. And Dick was always missing that.
The crazier part, though, is that his current wife, so Dick's stepmom, has 2 daughters. And I don't think that I've ever met them. But when Dick's dad left Dick's mom, he got married and then he was like these 2 girls' dad. And like he would take them on trips and all of this stuff. And like I don't want this to be like about his father at all because I don't really even care about his dad. But from my husband's perspective, it was like my father abandoned our family, left his children, looks at him now like not even a friend, but like an acquaintance or a stranger, yet is friends or is a father to these 2 girls. And I think that made Dick jealous, and I think that...
Jealous of his sisters?
His stepsisters. Yeah, because he's like, why do you guys get the best of my father? You know what I mean?
Right, I'm literally just fighting for the
bare minimum.
The bare minimum affection here, and I'm getting sat down. Now he's probably embarrassed, too, because it's in front of you.
Yeah, because again, right, this was like his idol. Everything that he's done in his life is
and
like...
I've actually heard from his mouth.
Yeah.
Sitting there telling me that his dad was his idol.
Yeah. So it again I was on the defense. I was really upset listening to his dad say all of this stuff because it's different when it's a text, but when your father is sitting there across from you being like, yeah, I don't really want to call you and check in. I think he actually said at one point, like, I don't care what's going on in your life. And
he sounds like he's basically saying to you and to Dick, you're a disappointment. And you've never made me proud of you. And at this point, I feel like I'm enabling you and I want to cut you off. And until I'm proud of you, then I'll be in your life.
Yeah, but I got like the impression that that was never going to happen. And so how, like kind of just to wrap up the conversation, which was uber uncomfortable for me, it came down to like Dick said, well, I need you to be more of a father. And so what can that look like for you that you feel comfortable? Like, what are you willing to give? Because this is my ask. And his dad was like, well, I can try and make an effort to call and check in. And that was it.
That's really, really sad.
It's terribly sad.
And it's very sad that, like, he's not the only son that goes through that. There's probably so many people out there that have this relationship with their father or lack thereof.
Yeah, it was really hard to see him hear that and get spoken to like that by his father, because up until that point I really was just like, well, this guy's just mean and I don't understand, and maybe there's like some kind of disconnect or miscommunication, but it wasn't. It was very straightforward. And so that was the promise, or whatever. I'm going to try and I'll give you a call and I'll make more of an effort to check in on you. So, okay, fine. I actually walked out because I was so uncomfortable, and like he started on like
did he notice that when you walked out to like maybe stop and be like, Amanda, come back. I'm sorry. Let me.
No, he didn't.
No?
I walked out because he was like talking about something with like how he didn't agree with his lifestyle choices, and I had like just, it was like beating a dead horse. I was like, okay, I don't have anything more to say. I've said everything I need. I don't need to prove myself. So I'm going to go out to the car. You guys can finish up the conversation, which I did want to give them like time alone.
Right.
But I had to get out of there because I was like sweating. I was so uncomfortable. I'm like, this is giving me anxiety. Like, I'm a freak out. So I just went out to the car, and I didn't say bye. And then probably about like 5 minutes later, like they walked out and they said something, whatever. And I think he like waved to me, whatever. And then we started on the way home. So then we're on our way home, and we actually like called my mom, because my mom has been like my mom knows everything about our relationship. And so she knows about the relationship with his parents. She knows about how he feels about his dad. So as I am trying to like instill more communication and love and emotion into his family relationships to him, I'm telling my mom that I'm doing this too. And she's like, well, like don't push too hard, like it's,
right. And you also probably want, especially because Dick and your mom have been establishing a relationship or some type of motherly figure towards him. You're probably like, I know that went really sour and not the way that you had expected it or wanted it to go, but I want you to know that you still have a support system and some type of parental figure. And probably when you called your mom, thought that would make him feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and also like I just like couldn't believe it. And like, so I like
we instantly wanted to call your mom anyway.
I really was like, because of course we've all had like our like, okay, we think that this is what's going on, whatever, like assumptions about the whole situation. But then like to actually get validation in person, and then I had to like, we had to relay it to my mother because I wanted her input. Like,
and also your mother's really good with compartmentalizing and taking emotion out of the thing and just being straightforward and unbiased.
Yeah. And so I think that when we called, we really just like gave it to her straight. We're like, this is what happened, like just how I said it, And I think that all she said was, well, hey, like, I'm proud of you. Like to him, she was like, Dick, I'm proud of you for talking about feelings, because obviously that's what's lacking and that you needed, and you told him what you needed. And so now ball's in his court, and you get to decide from here on out if he's going to meet your need or not. And then you can decide where to go from there. So I think that was good. And of course, like at his mom's house, we had a deep conversation with his mom. So that went well. And I felt like it was kind of like the Christmas communication endeavor was like closed there. And we were heading home, and it was like, okay, period, done, and we can move forward. So the next thing that happens is New Year's Eve. And so we're in Vegas. And this is like another really weird experience because, okay, so the reason that we had moved to Vegas, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. Worst decision of my life. But he said that he missed his friends so much. He's like, I miss my friends. Now, it's December, end of December. We moved there at the end of October. I haven't really like seen any friends besides Matt. And so, and I know that he has them. He has one friend that is married. And like Dick had kind of painted this picture like they live legit on the same street as us. So, like, we can go out, like, you can hang with the wife, like, I can go to the gym with my boy, like, all of this. Well, when we moved there, we were really trying to make an effort to get together with them, and it kind of just always, like, just never worked out. And so I think that I had, like, added the wife on social media and was like, hey, we should get together, whatever. And we would talk here and there, but it was always like something came up if we were going to try and get together with them or me with her. Okay, fine. So it's New Year's Eve, and I'm like, we should go out with your best friend and his wife. We should do that. I've never done Vegas New Year's Eve fireworks over the strip. Okay. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we make a reservation at like, it might have been like Carmine's or something. And we just kind of like, we're making the reservation. It's me and him and the wife. And the wife's like, yeah, we're going to do it. Okay, but did you check with your husband? She's like, no, we're going to do it. And I'm like, I don't, like, I feel like he needs to know. And she's like, no, I'll just tell him to, like, get dressed and whatever. So it's New Year's Eve. And she's like, yeah, come pick us up. I'm like, okay. So we head over there. And she comes out, but he doesn't come out. And she's like, yeah, he's pissed. He doesn't want to go. He's pissed that we made plans. Like he doesn't want to do anything. Like, they have dogs. He's like, the dogs with the fireworks. He's like making all these excuses. And he eventually comes out, but he drives separately. So his wife's in the car, and I was like, oh man.
Wait,
like,
the wife was in the car with you guys?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man,
What?
because now I feel like bad because I feel like I'm coming in the middle of like a relationship. But this is Dick's like one of his best friends, and so I'm
Well,
like,
did you or Dick say, like, that's really weird? You said he was down?
well, I didn't. I thought that was really weird, but Dick was like, whoa, like I've never seen my best friend like this.
So Dick had no communication with that friend
no, I
during
think
this whole time, and he
I
was just
think
going
he
off
had-
of what you said when you'd never spoken to this woman before.
yeah, he was just kind of like, all right, we'll come pick you guys up. Like, that's his wife. Like, she should know if you guys are
Which
going to
also
go or
probably
not.
made you feel good too, because you're like, oh, well, I initiated this. You know, I'm making an effort. He's going to be excited. And then it probably,
Well, every attempt,
from what it sounds like, is going to shit right off the bat.
like every attempt that I would take to try and bring his friends around us, whether that was, hey, do you want to come over for dinner? Oh, Dick is having a tennis tournament. You should come and support him. I know he misses you. Every attempt, it was like, sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's because he wants to be with his wife. But now, here we are. I planned something. Dick and I planned something because he was being
And
very...
it's New Year's Eve too. Like,
Yeah.
what do you have going on?
Also, like, Dick at this point is very, like, relationship centric. Like, he's like, we're a team. And he, we listen to the Jordan Peterson marriage 3-part series. Then we have the conversation together with his family. He's like, we're a unit. And so as a unit, we're like, we're going to hang out with our friends. And so it felt very good. But then it was this weird, like, oh, okay, well, he doesn't want to, or like, it was just awkward. So we got to I don't remember. I think it was at Caesars, maybe Carmine's, the Forum shops. Is that Caesars? Yeah.
Forums, yeah.
So we're
The
walking
Forum.
and we got to the restaurant and we're eating, and I just feel like conversation is very awkward. So it's kind of like when you know that your friends are fighting and it's a little bit awkward because they're not really like engaging with each other, they're just engaging with you. And and it was just such a weird vibe. We had dinner. It was just very, very strange. So then we pay for the bill and we're walking out, and I think that it was probably close to midnight because it was a later dinner. And so what we were going to do is we were going to go to the top of like the parking garage and watch the fireworks. So we go to the top and we're kind of just standing there like leaning over the railing. We have this really good view and the fireworks start. And so then my husband comes up behind me and is like hugging me during the fireworks, and he's being all cute. But like His friend's on one side of him. His friend's wife is on the other side. And I just feel bad because I'm like, it's midnight. You're supposed to kiss your person at midnight. Here's me and my husband being all lovey-dovey for like what seems like the first time. But like, I felt bad for them because I didn't know what was going on. And I knew that the plan for the rest of the night was we're having dinner at Carmen's or whatever. And then we love the Golden Nugget. Like they have like the $5 blackjack or whatever. And we were playing there and it was a lot of fun. And so we were planning on going there. And like his friend loves blackjack. He like counts cards. So we were like, there's no way that he like could say no. So we're like, okay guys, like let's head down to the Nuggy, you know, like let's go.
The Nuggy.
Yeah, and his friend's like, I'm not going. I gotta get home to the dogs. And he with like gestures to his wife and he was like, well, like, let's go. And she like looks at us and she's like, oh, I'm going with them. And so now, like,
It's so awkward.
I just felt so in the middle. But at the same time, I think that she also felt very uncomfortable. Like, I know her and, like, we're really good friends. And she helped me out. She's helped me out so much through all of this. Like, I just felt very bad for her because I didn't know what was going on with him. And, like, I still don't know what was going on with him at that time. But I will say, like, I know now that, like, that was just a moment for them. And like that happens. We were, you know, Dick and I were in a good moment. That wasn't a good moment for them. Okay, fine. But so she came with us. And
Without him?
Without him. And I don't really, so I'm trying to think if he followed us there. I don't think that he followed us there. We went there. We actually met up with Matt and we're like sitting at the blackjack table. And we were probably there for like, she was playing blackjack, which I don't think she normally does. We were probably there for like an hour and a half. And then all of a sudden, like he shows up at the table, like standing behind her. And like Dick like gestured, like, why don't you sit down? Like you can take her place. She doesn't know what she's doing or like whatever. And he was like, no, we're going to go. And then they just left. And so I don't know. Like I like I said, that was just a moment for them. But Dick was really like, that made me uncomfortable. And he's like he's starting to talk about his feelings. So I'm like, anytime he's talking about it, I'm like, okay, keep going, bro, you know? And he's like, that was not okay with me. He shouldn't have treated her like that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like nodding my head agreeing because I want him to keep talking. And the next day, he basically makes like this decision that he's not going to tolerate anybody in his life treating their wife that way. Yeah.
I remember him telling me about this couple.
Yeah. And
saying those exact words.
Isn't that fucking funny? Like,
ain't that a bitch?
He literally defriended somebody that he's been friends with for years based off of the fact that he was like, oh, he's treating his wife poorly. Which, again, was he treating his wife poorly? Probably in the moment, not so great of a moment to have a fight. But, like, again, they're wonderful and they're married and that happens. But, like, I don't know why that was so easy for him to give up with him fucking damn well knowing who he is as a person. Like, and so now he's only got Matt. That's the only friend that we have. So we came to Vegas to be around friends.
Wait, were you not like, where are all the other friends that you run away to? Like, where are they?
But it was them too. That's who it was. It wasn't like I have 10 fucking friends. He's the mayor, so he knows everybody. He knows everybody and everybody loves him. And then also now that's actually not the case, as I'm finding out. And now there's only one left and it's Matt. And I'm like, okay, this is fucking great. So awesome. So the rest of the night, I actually think that Matt was at like some EDM festival that was like a New Year's Eve thing down at like that, what is that thing called down there where the dubstep concerts are?
Oh, downtown Las Vegas Event Center.
Yeah, the event center. And he like rolled through and then we all went home. I think we dropped him off at home. The next few weeks really like consist of like going to the Venetian and the Palazzo with Matt and like sitting and watching him play Baccarat in like what do they call it? Like the parlor or like the whatever the high stakes room is.
Just the high roller room?
Yeah, like, and, you know, he'd have comps or whatever. So he'd be like, do you guys want to go get dinner? So we go get dinner. And so that was nice. I always really appreciate that because, like, Dick didn't ever want to go out to eat, really. And so we're going together. But then it started to get more frequent that he would be like, I'm going to go out with Matt. And he would, like, leave me at home. Matt would come and get him. I would have my car, but he wouldn't be like, I'm going to go.
What would you be doing while he was out?
Either, like, applying for jobs or helping with, like, the consulting clients or just, like, doing nothing. Like, I always felt like when I was at home and he was out, I was like, why can't I go? We were going to the casino. Like, it's not like you have money to gamble.
Was this around the time... Sorry if my timeline's a little off, but was this around the time that I remember being home? And at this point, we only live like 15, 20 minutes away from each other. Mm-hmm. And you would be like, okay, so, hey, is there any way that you can come over and help me? And I'd be like, help you with what? I was going through some stuff at the time. So, like, it's unlike me to have my house a mess. My house was a freaking pigsty. Yeah. And I was like, there's clothes everywhere. I'm back and forth with traveling. Like, you're my best friend. You're literally family. We've known each other since 6th grade. And I was so uncomfortable to have you come over. And you would always constantly, I feel like you would text me all the time and be like, can I come over? Can we hang out?
Yeah, it was probably starting to be around that time because I
would feel like you were desperate to get out of the house because you felt like you had to.
For sure. And that's
because
like in
he
the
was
last...
making you feel like you didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And then, well, what I'm getting to is the fact that you had asked me, like, hey, is there any way you can come over and help me clean the house? I'm so just overwhelmed with everything that I'm doing for the business and stuff like that. And
it probably was around that time. I know for sure. I think it was the last episode that I mentioned, like, that I had left the house and, like, because I just to get out, just to show him, like, yeah, I can be alone, you know, and then I got lost and whatever.
And I felt really bad about that too. I was like, Jesus, and you know, and then I think after that there were a few times where I would be like, hey, do you want to hang out, like just me and you or whatever? And then I would see that you guys were out with Matt, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I asked you to hang out, but I just feel like me and you were never on the same page with who was doing what or whatever. But the fact being, like, I guess I want to just throw this in here because I think in one of your previous episodes you had mentioned that he said something about, like, basically gender roles. Like, you clean the house and stuff like that.
He said it was below his pay grade to basically, like, do anything. Yes,
exactly. And I remember you asking me, and I straight up was like, what the fuck? Where's your husband?
Yeah.
Like, I literally texted you and I was like, you can keep up with the house if you designate certain days. Like, this day we do the laundry. This day we dust and, you know, sweep and mop the floors. This day we clean the bathrooms. This day we, you know, change the bedding. Things like that. Or obviously maintenance is, you know, doing dishes and things like that. But I remember
he didn't want to do any of it.
I know, but I remember you were embarrassed to tell me. I don't even know if you made up an excuse, but you said something along the lines of like, oh, well, he's doing this or whatever. And I'm like, there's no fucking excuse for that. Get off your fucking ass and help clean the house. The fact that my best friend is asking me to come over and clean your home is, oh my God, I can't even explain the feeling I got. It was like, and it's rage because it makes me sound like I have like a temper, but like, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. And I felt so like angry for you because I know you and I know that you can get anything done. If you felt the need to have to ask me to come over and help you clean the house, that meant you were so overwhelmed and overloaded with the tasks that he was either giving you or making you feel like just the weight of the world on your shoulders that he was not helping carry at all.
Well, it's like because he had basically said, like, I'm not doing this. This is below my pay grade.
And every time I'd come there, I'd see him sitting on the couch with his feet on the table, on his phone,
right,
watching fucking tennis or
that's
something.
But
like
that's
while
the
you're
point.
Up cooking dinner and like
that's the whole point is that he feels like everything that he does. You know, if he's watching tennis, he's gambling. So he feels like, okay, my time is better spent this way because I could be making money doing this. If I'm cleaning, if I'm putting away my laundry, or if I'm doing laundry or cooking, no money is being made, and that is, at the end of the day,
a waste of fucking time.
A waste of time
and money.
And how he sees it. But because I was running the whole consulting firm, he was not helping with that at all. And I was basically trying my best to keep up with the house and the dogs and like all of this stuff. And at the same time, trying to figure out like, I don't like, do I like this not working thing? Because to me, I'm feeling like I'm more and more every day snowball effect overwhelmed. This doesn't feel good. So I'm like low key applying for jobs, like not saying anything. Also, concurrently getting fucking extremely depressed. Like, I was finding no joy in any part of the day. I remember that I started sleeping in a lot, and then he would also get mad at me for sleeping in, and he'd be like, chop chop, like, wake up. And it's like, I'm fucking sad, you know, and like, you're not seeing that at all, and that bothered me, and then the resentment, all of that stuff. So, you know, it's like it was just a huge snowball effect. And I was really starting to realize that like this not working thing is not for me because I don't feel like I have a purpose. And I remember like Googling things and like looking at stuff like what is my purpose and trying to figure that out because I felt like I didn't have one and I didn't know what it was. And I started feeling very lost. I think that around like this time we ended up, it was like a huge snowstorm, and we actually went up to Mount Charleston with the dogs, which I was like, it's gonna snow. And I'm like, it's gonna snow a lot. And I'm like, it's winter, we should go up there. And he's like, I'm working. And I go, like, it's not like you have a boss. Like, let's just
Right.
take 2 hours.
I need to put in a 2-week notice.
Yeah, like, let's fucking go up to the mountain with the dogs. They love snow. Wait till you see them in snow. You're gonna be so happy. And so he put on like we put on snowsuits and whatever, and we drove up, and it was super fun. It was like 16 inches of snow, and the dogs just ate it up and loved it. We had a good time. And then we came home, and when we got home, he was like, that was a gigantic waste of time. I'm all wet and I'm super cold. And I'm like, God, you suck.
What a fucking pussy.
Just, God, you suck.
And
There
also,
can
we
be-
wouldn't have been able to do that in your Prius. We would have,
Like-
at least we had my Jeep.
Like, it's just so crazy to me that, like, in the moment, and I have photos and I have pictures of him fucking laughing and throwing snowballs in the air, and the dogs are catching him. It was like, he was genuinely happy in the moment. And then,
Which, what a fucking mind fuck. Because you're like looking at him and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you get home and, oh my God, that's such a waste of fucking time.
Always.
And you're like, who are you? I don't know. And I'm constantly
Always.
on edge because now I'm super hyper vigilant because I don't know who the fuck you are. At what moment, if you're in a good mood, you're actually not. And I'm going to always constantly not be in the moment with you because I'm going to think you're having a bad time when you're acting like you're having a good time.
I truthfully, like, I don't even
Psycho.
know when that started me feeling like he was always having a bad time, because someone said this to me the other day, and they were like, it's like he's an actor, which is funny because that's what I said when I was like, hey, you're good at acting. You should do this Findom OnlyFans thing full time because you're good at that. Hindsight is fucking 2020. I'm like, literally, I was telling myself everything I needed to know. He was very capable of being happy in those moments, which I felt like was genuine happiness, because why would you lie about, like, why would you fake laughing and giggling with your dogs and your wife? But then when we got back, like, the mask came off and the true colors started to show. And I was like, oh, so you were just playing the role to get through that moment and that scene.
Because they can't feel. They literally cannot feel.
Yeah.
And so they're able to look at other people's happiness and mirror that. They're able to mimic other people's emotions. And so he was doing that in order to get through it because he knew it would make it only more miserable if he was showing that he wasn't having a good time, because then you wouldn't be having a good time. The dogs would probably sense it. Everything would be chaotic. So he played that role until he got home and he was like, fuck yeah, I can take this mask off. Now I can really be who I am.
Yeah, but didn't even waste any time to just be like, that was fucking horrible. We're never doing that again, to like bring me down from the high that I was on, because it was always like a knock you down kind of thing.
Yeah.
So another thing I found, so how I timeline these episodes out is I go through my picture timeline and I look, because I'm very visual, and I found a bunch of screenshots that was like right after going to Mount Charleston, and it was screenshots from, I don't, like, just online forums about like feeling grief but not knowing like where your grief is coming from. Like, I feel sad, like I've lost something, but like I don't know what it is. And there was one that was like different types of loss, like a primary loss, like someone dies.
Yeah,
And
it was your
then-
identity because everything was in Scottsdale for you.
Right. And then the thing I screenshot was secondary losses. And it lists all of these types of loss of identity, loss of friendships, loss of passion, purpose, all of this. And I screenshot things for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like,
There are
I'm
things
glad
that are resonating with you in that moment.
yeah, so it's profound to me because I know that I do things in the moment, but then I forget about them because I'm so ADD. And I know that I screenshot that to kind of like document that this was where I was at mentally at that time. So this is like really where I'm starting to realize like I'm kind of losing myself, even though I definitely had lost myself before that. But this is when I'm starting to notice it. So you know that it's like really bad. So, you know, if I am starting to notice it, you can fucking bet that my mother is starting to notice it because she calls me all the time. She talks to me. At that point, she's probably calling me every day, you know, and she had sent me flowers. She sent me like multicolored
Aw.
tulips, which like it was I don't know, it was January. It was about to be February. She sent me tulips and then she sent me like these little index cards that had like, that she had handwritten. And it was like, you're beautiful and have nice boobs. Like, you stand up straight and stick them out or like something, whatever. And like, so I put them on the bathroom mirror and I looked at them every day. And I was like, okay, if my mom's feeling it, now it's real. I know that that's real. And I really am sad and depressed. And it scares me because I had been in dark places prior to knowing him that I didn't really remember, but I knew they were bad. But now comparing it to the dark moments that I've had with him, I don't want to ever feel like that. And so I'm terrified of getting back to the place of like when he ran away after the wedding or all those moments. So I'm trying fucking really hard internally to be like, you're not sad. You're not sad. Like affirm every day, like, you're not sad. This is just a moment. Like, get through it. And I'm like talking myself through my own life
and
daily.
I mean, I am a firm believer that your body listens to your brain.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're telling yourself, I'm not sick or I'm not sad, but also that kind of hinders you in your growth or your healing in any way, because if you're not feeling those emotions that you're going through, you're just burying them deeper and deeper.
Well, I think that like really he's a strong believer in, if you're not there, act like it and then you'll get there. If you're not rich, dress like you're rich and then you'll be around rich people and you'll eventually get like that. It's like that weird fake fucking affirmation shit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, whatever I'm doing right now isn't working for me. So maybe I should start doing that. So I started faking being happy to try and actually be happy. And that's fucking not how that works. We all know that. So that's where I was at in that moment. So also, right, I'm sad. My mom knows. Dick doesn't know. He can't really tell. I'm trying just to like kind of like, I don't know, entice him to do something nice for me. And if you can remember, I wanted and thought that he was going to get me the ring that I had originally wanted for my proposal on Christmas, but that didn't end up happening because he's not a planner and whatever. Truth be told, it's because he doesn't care, but I kept sending him that ring because it was like $199 and it was on sale like post Christmas. So I was like, if I keep sending it to him, he'll get it and then eventually I'll be happy. And so I'm doing that, and I felt like I was really just like begging for love all the time, not just in that ways, but in many different ways. So he still at this point hadn't gotten me the ring, but in January he decided to be like, you know what? Let's go to a Lakers game because Lakers are his favorite basketball team. So he's like, we're gonna drive there. Always fucking driving. Okay, fine. So we drive to LA, and he actually got really great seats. And I'm pretty positive that somebody had paid for them. Like he had put on Twitter or something like, I want to go to the Lakers game. Like send this much money. And somebody did. And so we got good seats. He also had scheduled like somebody to like meet at our hotel, like in the lobby with him. But that person never ended up showing up. And I'm like, okay, like I don't know like when the fucking lines got crossed that the boundaries that I had put in place like no longer existed, but it was always like he's like, okay, yeah, like now it's no holds barred. Like at any point, if I can make money doing FinDom or doing like the shit online, like I'm gonna do it.
Like, there's no boundaries.
There was no boundaries. And it was like he was just openly being like, yeah, someone is going to come to the lobby. I'll just go downstairs. And it was like, not like an ask. It was like, this is what's going to happen. But that never ended up happening. So the Lakers game was actually pretty fun because the seats were good. And like, I love watching basketball. And then we went back to the hotel. I think we had a drink on the rooftop and we went to bed and then we went home. You know, when we're back home, I'm feeling pretty like positive because of the trip and because he like took me to do something, you know, and like he was paying for stuff. Again, I don't know how he had the money to do this because I feel like everything's really tight, but maybe I'm thinking like that's because I don't have a job. I do have a job and it's making money, but it's going to the business account, which he is in charge of all of the bills. And so the money's coming out and, you know, bills are being paid and whatnot. So I'm always like subscribing to this idea that we're trying to save money so that we can have a down payment for our eventual like forever home. So I'm trying to make dinners at home all the time, like, and trying not to eat out. I'm trying to be like very, very wifey, homemaker, like trying to just look up recipes and like do the most. And the only time we ever really went out was if we were going out with Matt and things were paid for at the Venetian or Palazzo. So this actually was like around the time where like you started coming over and hanging out with us a lot, and that was nice. You know, we would do like, I don't know, we would do like maybe dinner or like order, or maybe I cooked or something, and then we, you know, open a bottle of wine, whatever, and we go downstairs in that game room and play like the free games like Buck Hunter or whatever. And that makes me think of the experience that like I didn't know up until like, when was that you told me that?
Maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. But so I'll let you tell that story because it's your firsthand experience. But like, just if we're painting the picture, we're downstairs in the like media room, I guess you can say, of our apartment complex.
So these apartment complexes have, I guess, in the leasing office, these rooms that you can either rent, but in your situation, they were open all night.
Yeah.
And there was pool tables, and I mean, there was even like a bar down there. And obviously like the desks where people come in and they sign their leases and things like that. It was huge. There was a tanning room, you know, co-ed bathrooms and things like that. So we were down there and we were drinking a little bit, listening to music, playing pool, and you were playing Buck Hunter. And I think this might have, I don't know how many times I've been over hanging out with you guys. Like, this is probably like the third.
It was either the second or the third.
Yeah, I think this was around like the third time that I was hanging out with you guys. And I had noticed that you were losing substantial weight very quickly. And yeah, sure, you were being active, like I think playing tennis and things like that, or it was kind of chilly outside, so maybe not. But it wasn't like you were going to the gym every single day and on a strict diet or anything like that. So I was like thinking to myself, okay, going off of what you had said, like, can you come over and help me clean? I had started to notice some changes in you, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I know that we're just getting back into our friendship and stuff like that, but I still know you. Mm-hmm. And you just didn't seem happy. When I would come over, I felt like you could breathe again. You enjoyed the fact that there was a friend there, and I think he liked it as well. So we're drinking, you're playing Buck Hunter, you're killing it, and I remember he had gone to the bathroom, and I came and I said, I'm going to go to the bathroom too. I knocked on the door, and I said, can I come in? And I opened the door, he was washing his hands, and these were like stalls and things like that in there. It wasn't like I just walked into the bathroom with him alone. And I said, I need to talk to you. And I shut the door. And I said, I'm just going to be blunt. Is my best friend losing weight because in a healthy way? Or because you're making her feel like she needs to lose weight? Insinuating like, is she severely fucking depressed? Or are you making her feel like she is not good enough? And he literally, with a smile on his face, proceeded to tell me, let's be real. Amanda's never going to have a flat stomach without plastic surgery or a tummy tuck. And I swear to God, I had to like bite my tongue because I didn't know if he was kidding. And I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? And I thought, I don't know, I was just hoping that it would be like a joke, like he would recant his words in some way. And then he proceeded to pull out his phone and pull up two of his ex-girlfriends who are very beautiful. One being like, I don't know if she's like a bodybuilder or what, but they're both like very fucking pretty. And he proceeded to show me pictures of them and who he used to date. And then I was about to light his ass up and you knocked on the door and I was like, nope, there's no way I'm telling her that, especially if she's obviously clearly losing weight because she feels like he's making her feel like she's not good enough or in some way, shape, or form. There was no fucking chance I was telling you. And I just felt sick to my stomach after that. And I was like, I hate this guy. Like, who does he think he is? Mr. Speech Impediment? Like, not to sit here and rip on him, but like, I could not fucking believe I'd never encountered anybody talk about somebody like that, let alone their wife, like to their best friend. You literally orchestrated us becoming friends again. And to say that to me was disrespectful to me as well, because I'm like, you just put me in a terrible fucking position.
Well, it's almost like he expects you to like keep the secret that he said that.
I think because he thought, oh, she worked in the Vegas clubs, like, she, used to wear a bikini for work and stuff like that. It was like showing off to me, like with his ex-girlfriends or something. And I'm like, who do you think you are? You don't have to prove yourself. And like, that is my best friend. That's family right there. I wanted to hurt him. Like, I was so... I can't even describe the disgusting feeling that I felt. It was like, I don't know, just some type of like protective instinct. I was like, I'm going to kill this guy. I can't believe it. It happened. I don't know what it was. But somebody sent you to that door because it was not about to be pretty.
Well, I think that it's funny because I know for a fact that like I don't know. I would like ask him, like I knew that I was losing a lot of weight because tennis was like really good for me. It was really good for like my mental health and stuff, but also really good for my body. And I could tell, and I would be like, hey, look at how my body looks. And he'd be like, I know, you look great. He would be like, you look amazing. You're so skinny. Like positive affirmations when I would ask questions about my body looking for them, because obviously I know the same things that now about his exes and whatnot. And I always kind of felt like a little bit inferior, like looks wise. And so, yeah, like when you told me that, I was like, wait, what? Because in those moments when we would all three of us be together at the apartment, it was one of those moments where I really felt like me and him were a united front.
Yeah, you seemed very like comfortable.
Yeah, like I felt like this is good. This is a good moment. And to know that like behind my back, he was telling you that.
To me of all people.
Yeah, I'm like, that just like really illustrates who he is, because again, it's like
it was
in that
I'm
moment,
telling you, like this look on his face was kind of sadistic. It was, he enjoyed saying that something to me, like in that manner, and he enjoyed. I can't even describe it. I'm at a loss for words. I'm not kidding, and it's actually making me sick thinking about it because of the smile that he had on his face, and like it was like he was making fun of you. And like I'm not gonna go any further because I feel uncomfortable even talking to you about this right now. It took me a very long time to even be able to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really feel like when you initially told me, I was like, I wasn't like shocked, because I kind of always thought that like in the back of my mind, I was like, he's telling everybody that he doesn't like me because he's treating me like he doesn't like me.
Yeah, he's telling his clients or whatever.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
me.
And I had heard on some of the cameras, like when I was away in Alabama, like him saying like horrible things to me, and I'm just like, or about me, and I'm like, I just put it in like this little pocket in my brain, and I was like, I don't really fucking care, because what is he saying to me? And that is a huge indication of like where I was at mentally, because I wasn't going off of like his actions. I was going off of what his words were, when his actions were completely contradicting his words. Mm-hmm. Oh, you think I look great, but you're saying this to my best friend. Oh, you think I look great, but I see you liking girls'
because
pictures.
It's hard for us to just imagine how someone could say, and like he's already got you, right? You're already his wife. There are men out there that will say things to you to either get into your pants or get with you He's already got you. You've expressed, I don't know how many times, that you guys had a very healthy sex life. He didn't need to do much. There would be times where you'd be texting him like, oh, do you have time for a quickie or whatever, while he's upstairs on fucking Chatterbait or whatever he's on.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like he had to like try that hard. I don't know. Like,
well,
you would think
it was
that when somebody
actually...
gives you a compliment that they actually mean it. Why else go out of your way?
Yeah.
You've already got me. You're not trying to get anything out of it.
That's actually always like a super confusing thing to me too, is, you know, and I think I know the answer is like, how was the sex life so healthy if you, because it would lead me to believe that if he was saying that to you, that there was something that he did not find attractive about me. And
I don't think that's what it was. I think he seriously thought he was trying to impress me in that moment. And
but like, what kind of that doesn't even make sense at all, though. Like, why would he put your best friend down to impress you?
Because I worked in Vegas. He called himself the mayor of Las Vegas. He had to like build up this like status.
This is the person I dated. Look how great they are, kind of thing.
Yeah, like he thought maybe I was thinking something about. It was in a sense to be like, oh, I know what you're thinking before you even say it. No, I don't. I fucking am wondering when my best friend's with you.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying to get ahead of it. Like some of those people that are constantly paranoid. He seems like the type of person that is paranoid about what people think of him at all times. And he probably was telling himself in his head, well, you're used to being around beautiful women all the time. So let me just prove to you, like, I am too.
Yeah, like my status is for real because look who I dated.
Yeah, but he has no idea like that. Or maybe he does. I don't know. But like, God, when we lived here, like, you're still absolutely gorgeous. Like, I feel like he just I don't know. Maybe he told himself in his head, like, maybe this is what this person's thinking. I have to say it first before they say it to me. Does that make sense? I'm trying to like explain it.
I mean, he was trying to prove
how his sick brain works.
He was trying to prove like he might have been trying to prove like his status to you by showing you like the people that he dated and thinking,
little does he know I don't give a shit. There are some people that I've worked with that care about that. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, but he was thinking that based off of how they look would prove that he was inferior, like he was the best. And it's like, oh, okay, like they have abs, that's great. Oh, okay, they're in you know, Hustler magazine, that's great. It's like, no, like that doesn't make you a good person. That doesn't make you cool, bro. Like, you know.
Yeah, he's very surface level.
Yeah, I mean, everything is about the aesthetic. And if you really think about it, like we mentioned 10,000 times, it's like, what would he look like if he stopped taking the Tren or stopped taking the anti-estrogen? Probably fucking not what he looks like now. And
a lot of people a lot of men at least, probably have that same stigma about women. There's a stigma about women the same way. Like, it's a double standard. Yeah, okay, if we stop getting Botox or putting hair extensions in or getting our nails done, what we look like.
Yeah.
Our natural fucking selves. And, you know, men, it's not as obvious all the time with the work that they do. Yeah. Or get done. And so, like you said, everything would just...
Which is really funny.
Start slowly reversing.
To think about it actually now. Because during that time, I was not getting lashes. I was not getting my nails done. And I
only did that because you thought you had to. You hated putting extensions in. I remember we went out in Scottsdale one time for Halloween.
No, I'm saying I didn't have any of those things because he wouldn't let me go and get extensions. He wouldn't let me go get eyelashes and he wouldn't let me go get nails because we needed to save money.
Right, so, but he made you feel like in the beginning that was... Like, remember you said you got your hair extensions put in and you got your eyelashes done.
For sure.
He was like, oh my God, I love that. But then would make you feel bad about it and then tell your mom behind your back that you're spending all this money. And it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so it's funny
this is what you want. I don't like this stuff.
Because it's like, I, at that time, was actually probably the most natural Amanda that I have been. And it's just, the whole thing is ridiculous. But anyways, so he actually finally, like, was like, okay, we can get you the ring. And I was like, oh, okay. But here's the caveat. He was like, you have to order it because I don't know what website it's. And I'm like, I've sent you the link 5,000 fucking times. What are you talking about? So I go in the office. He's like, yeah, use the business card. Okay, use the business card. I place the order for my own fucking ring.
Which is the business account.
Which is
where
the
you're
business
also
account.
putting money into it.
Yeah, and actually, I realized after I ordered it that the money that was in the account was my money. So I bought my own ring and I waited, I don't know how fucking long, to buy my own ring. And I was just like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. Like, I'm going to get it. Just fucking brush it under the rug. It's fine. I'm getting what I want. And that's kind of like my mentality forever. But so before I placed the order, I made sure to ask him, are all the bills paid? Is the rent paid? And he's like, yeah. Yes, of course. Okay. Because again, I don't have access to like see these things.
That's what I was going to ask.
I don't have access to see it, but I'm asking him and he's like, yes. And I see the money coming out. So I'm like, yeah, okay, it is. So
well, how do you see the money coming out if you don't have access to?
I have access to the bank account, but I wasn't paying attention to like the bill pay, like the actual like merchants and stuff.
May I ask, like, at what point with his car getting repossessed and, you know, things like that, and you guys being behind, your phone's getting shut off, at what point were you like, let me step in, and you're sitting here trying to take the load off of every aspect of his life. At what point were you like, let me step in and control the finances to make sure that...
Well, I wasn't. I think I was in kamikaze mode. I was like, I want him to fail because he said that he could. And so I didn't. And I also didn't have a job, truthfully, because at this point I was kind of like tapering back from the consulting. So I could not step in and be like, hey, yeah, the money that you're making most of, like, I'm going to come in and say, like, you're not doing a good job, when I couldn't prove that he wasn't doing a good job. Yes, car got repossessed. He was behind payments well before we even moved to Las Vegas. Yeah. So, like, I just think it's really important to, like, say that at this point. But, like, the ring came, okay, and he's excited. He's excited. He's like, the ring's here. Okay, so we go to the mailbox together, and we get it, and we take it out. And I think I actually got two. I got, like, a band that was supposed to go with it, but it was, like, too bulky. And then it was the ring. And he's like, oh, take it out. I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, try it on. And he, like, takes it out and, like, puts it on my finger. And he's like, take a picture. And so I take a picture of him, like, holding my hand with the ring on my finger. And, like, this is, like, the telltale Amanda sign. I posted that picture and thanked him for getting me the most amazing ring, the ring that I wanted. I
remember that picture.
I think that I said, like, oh, look, like, my wonderful husband got me, like, he upgraded or something like that. And that is, truthfully, anybody who's watched this whole thing, like, just unfold through social media, I was always posting positive things about him all the time. None of them were valid or warranted. All of them, and it wasn't to prove to anybody that I had a great life. It was truthfully it was for him. I wanted him to see that I loved him so much that even though he knew he was so shitty to me, that I would still choose him and, like, elevate him to the public. I thought that if I did that again, that would make me irreplaceable and, like, he wouldn't leave. Yeah. And that's really, like, where I was at. And, you know, it's sad.
Do you think, looking back, does it anger you knowing that he probably knew what you were doing and took advantage of that, and maybe was like, I know what she's doing, but it's working for me, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing?
No, I think that
because she's not going to demand any more than that.
I think that gives him too much credit into the thought process of it. I actually don't think that he thought about it at all, because he wouldn't even like the posts that I made. So I just
can't believe when you, in one of your episodes recently, I have to bring that up, that recording that you played of him and him saying, our lives aren't separate. Even my last 12 posts, half of them have you in it. It even says we're married. I'm like, who are you? What are you talking about? Like,
yeah,
that was wild to me. It broke my heart listening to that. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It makes me sick.
It's a true testament, I think, to what can happen to your mental health when you become like it's a trauma bond, and like you can't really like break free from it because it's all you really have left. And so you're going to do anything and say anything to salvage and make sure that that person doesn't leave, because in your mind, in my mind at the time, if I were to be like outward about him being a shitty person or making me feel a certain type of way,
then you would have to be put in a position for people to outward influences coming in and demanding that you leave, and you didn't want that.
yeah, I never, because I wouldn't have. Even if somebody said leave, I wouldn't have fucking left. In fact, I probably would have left them because they weren't supportive of my relationship.
And it was probably easier for you to be like, I'll deal with this internally rather than bringing outside sources in, and then also I'm already disappointing myself. And then I have to like disappoint them as well, because I know I'm not going to leave, because I don't think enough people talk about or understand. Mm-hmm. If you have not been in a trauma bond, you don't get it. And everyone on the outside is like, God, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you leave then? You're so stupid. Like, yeah, no shit. We know we were stupid. Like, or you knew you were stupid. Like, it's, you don't know it till you're in it. You really don't. And it's a terrible place to be. But once you're out, you're free, and you're like, please God, I never want to make that same mistake or fall into it again. But it also,
I just think that I know that I'm strong now, but I thought that I could handle so much more than I was capable of at that time. I thought that I could be completely and utterly depressed, completely and utterly like just starved of love and like prioritization over anything. Like I was last on the totem pole, and I thought that at the same time of being just like completely just starved of everything, that I could also like lead the team and change his mind, or make him love me, or change who he was as a person, who he's always been for 30 years of his life. And that right there is and was the whole entire problem. Method acting. A technique of acting in which an actor aspires to complete emotional identification with a part. Interesting, if you really think about it. Dick was acting, playing the role of husband, alpha findom master, and the innocent Mormon church boy. I was acting, playing the role of content wife, the businesswoman who had it all figured out, and the happy Midwest girl who chased her dreams west and achieved them without fail. Everyone was acting. Everyone is acting. Friends act like they like your spouse or support your dreams. Parents act like they believe in your vision and trust your judgment. So the real question is, how do we differentiate between someone who is acting and someone who is aspiring to be? We don't. We trust. We have faith. But more importantly, we watch. Thank you for tuning in week after week. I appreciate your rates, reviews, and all your shares. They truly mean the world to me. Until next time, I'm your host, Amanda Arnier, and this is the Dichotomy Diaries.